Well, the only thing missing this morning is a torch runner, a fanfare, a booming voice saying, "Let the games begin," because that seems to be what it is. It's been characterized as the only responsible solution to the state's terrible problems, but what is responsible about having a sham budget with an $11 billion hole in it? We've only seen budgets this year with holes in it, but we've talked about all the sacrifice that we've gone through. We've heard about, from the chair of budget, about all the teachers that have lost their jobs. That's painful, but if you don't have money to pay for them, you know, what are we hearing about reform on regulations that can get people back to work? Keep in mind, it takes 27 private sector jobs to support one public sector jobs. So if we're 30,000 teachers down, just imagine how many private sector jobs are down also. What are we doing to get people back to work? Where's the talk about pension reform? The studies say $200 to $500 billion underfunded. Where's the reforms on that? Where's the responsibility that we have to step up to the plate and make sure that our public employees have systems that are sustainable, that we can afford? We have nothing on that here. We're not talking about a lot here about controlling spending, and in fact, this budget goes the other direction. Now, I did hear the former speaker, the chair of budget, talk about the legislative analyst projections that in this fiscal year, our budget should be $125 billion. Now, he likes that because it makes his case. Sadly, he ignores another legislative analyst comment that from the windfall of $6.6 billion that we received in the May revision reflected the April resources that we got, of that $6.6 billion, what it looks like over 5 years is $13 billion, $14 billion actually. So what happens with that amount? $3 billion is scored to reduce taxes. The rest is scored to increase government. Now, we're told this is a responsible budget. Why didn't we take that $6.6 billion windfall that was not projected in January and pay off debt instead of growing government and going back out to the taxpayers and say, we're in such dire straits, we need you to just raise taxes that, oh, by the way, you said no to just a couple years ago. This is responsible? Balancing something on the back of the taxpayers that said no, something that the public unions know is not going to pass. A responsible budget would say, here are our revenues. We need to make our expenditures fit it. We are not facing a responsible budget today. And in the context of that, because we have Budget Bill Junior, or whatever you want to call it, that we're voting on today, the rest of these bills that otherwise would be supportable, some of them, are not supportable because they're built upon a premise that we're going to raise taxes. I, for one, am not going to vote to raise taxes. If the people want to vote on that, that's fine. There's been a pathway articulated that will allow the people to decide, but let's let them decide also on the things that are really important, the things that hit the underlying structural problems. Let's let them vote on a cap in spending, a hard cap in spending. Let's let them vote on pension reform that gets to the underlying problems driving this deficit. It's not an either or. There are many variations there. We're seeing a bad variation today. This is not a responsible budget. I cannot support this bill.